Alright, how are you doing, everybody? Welcome back to the RTBG show. My name is Jason Lee. I am your host for this podcast. And on this podcast, we talk about productivity, creativity, and lifestyle. So if you want to learn more about that, make sure you don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss another episode. Today, I actually want to talk about some advice that I think are really helpful when it comes to dealing with depression. Now, first of all, I just want to say that if you have clinical depression, not just the feeling of depression, then you should definitely go to a doctor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist to get your situation checked out. I am in no means a professional when it comes to this kind of stuff, especially you shouldn't be definitely not trusting a random guy from the internet anyways. The reasons why I actually wanted to talk about depression in the first place is not because I've dealt with crazy amount of depression before, nor do I think that I'm better or in more of an experience than anybody else that dealt with depression. I've definitely have friends that have dealt with depression way more than I have. But what I think is important is that there's a lot of information out there that I've seen really not helpful, not only because of my friends I've taken, not only when I have dealt with depression, I feel like it doesn't work. And there's not a lot of people that actually talk about just the feeling of depression, the right way anyways. Here's just some of the advice that I have on depression. Now, keep in mind, I do not think depression or the feeling of depression is stupid like many other people do. A lot of people say, oh, hey, let's just get over it. It's okay. It's just a feeling. You can always get over it. Well, some of that part is true, but I still think the feeling of depression is probably more dangerous and more overlooked problem and situation than other people think. And also the fact that many other studies have found that there is an increase in the reports of depression within teenagers and college students. And that is definitely the age range for me. So I've always wanted to help people around my age definitely to deal with this kind of problem or situation. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's actually talk about the ways that you can deal with depression. Now, the first thing that I want you guys to notice or figure out first is that are you actually depressed or are you just sad? Because feeling of sadness and depression, there's a very thin line between those two. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, hey, I'm sad, hey, I'm depressed. People who says they're sad, sometimes they're actually depressed. People who says that they're depressed, sometimes they're just sad. Now, the difference between sadness and depression is that sadness is usually triggered by an event or something that happened to you that leaves disappointment or a bad feeling, right? A lot of the time you know why you're sad or you know why this feeling is inside you in the first place. Depression, however, is different because it's really spontaneous and it's just out of nowhere and you have no idea why you are feeling this way in the first place. Now, depression, the reason why depression is so much more dangerous, in my opinion anyways, is because you have no idea what to do. Sadness, a lot of the time you can talk to your friends, right? And then, the problem just eventually goes away. But depression, you have no idea what to do in the first place. Talk to people won't help because they don't know how to help you because you don't even know how to help yourself. So here's the first thing that I have. Actually, let's talk about sadness first. If you're sad, right? Most likely you know why you're sad. It's because your friends or something bad happened to you. The best thing that I've learned over time is that when I'm sad, a lot of the time it's because I'm angry at someone, I'm angry at the world, or I'm just disappointed in something that wasn't supposed to happen. But all I can say is the faster you let go of those bad experiences and those anger, the better you're going to be in the future. This isn't going to be the last time you're going to be sad. Right? I know this isn't your first either. So instead of dwelling on it, instead of keep on thinking about it and being sad, move on, okay? Let go of those things and eventually you will feel definitely better. And as for depression, it's a little bit more tricky because it's definitely vary from people to people. And again, I will say it again, if you think you have some clinical depression or you think you would need some medical help with depression, please go look for a professional to help you with the situation. Again, the reason why I talk about this is because 50% of diagnosis on depression is usually false and it's just usually the feeling of depression. So even though we don't know why depression starts, right? even though we don't know why you're in this numb or lifeless state inside your head, here's something that I've always found helpful. For me, whenever this happens, I always try to first of all, it doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter where I am, change the state of my mind by doing physical activities, by just simply getting off the bed, the couch, the chair, or wherever I am sitting down and dwelling on my thoughts, right? I just literally get up and try to do something that is physical so that I can get out of that depressed state as fast as possible. This is why I actually love weight training so much, because it doesn't matter what I felt like before the session started, I've always feel so much better afterward. I have no idea why, but I just love working out for that reasons, and also for health benefits as well. But it doesn't matter if I felt bad, sad, heartbroken, or just overall unmotivated, a workout session always hits the spot and usually helps for me a lot. Now, obviously, you don't have to do an hour long of weight training. That's not what I'm trying to get here. Just something that changes your physical state, that changes your, that gets your body moving, a walk, a jog, right? Just go outside for a change. Go on a hike, do whatever you want that you enjoy doing so that you can change or get out of that state in the first place. A lot of people, when they feel like they're sad, they just stuck up in their room and expect things just to go well. Well, the first step you have to take is just change something about yourself, or change the physical self first, and then you can start worrying about your state of mind. Now, of course, this isn't going to solve all of your problems. You know, the reason why I'm sad, the reason why I do weight training isn't because it solves my problem, but it just gets me towards solving that problem. And I think that's the kind of mentality that you want to know as well. Now, guys, you gotta know, again, that this isn't the last time that you guys are going to feel depressed. This isn't gonna be the last time that you feel down. This isn't gonna be the last time that you feel like you are purposeless, okay? So the more you work, the more you put your time into trying to not fix, but trying to make you feel yourself better, so it boosts your productivity better and creativity better, you know, the better the next time you're gonna be dealing with this. Because, you know, we're humans. Things are gonna happen to us. Like, there are times that it's gonna be hard. So better for you to figure out something that works for you, even though everything in this episode or video, if you're watching, might not be working, but at least if you try, you will know what doesn't work and what does. All right, this is tip number 2. Source out the reason of your depression. Now, I know you guys will be asking, well, Jason, you have already said that depression is caused by almost nothing at all, or you like it's out of nowhere, it's spontaneous. But there's a reason behind everything, and every single time you feel that way is usually because of something that happened before or right now. Now, just because you don't know it consciously doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, what I think people should do is they should analyze everything. You know, you should analyze everything, right? Everything that you can remember. And when I mean everything, right? If you want to get out of this state faster, you have to know that how to prevent, not only with prevent this kind of state to happen in the future, but if it does, you know how to deal with it. You know what happens. You know, things from changes that happens in your life, things that make you uncomfortable. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It might impact your state of depression. So make sure you go through everything. And this is going to take definitely a long time. But I think the most important part about this, when you analyze everything, is you have to see the underlying problems. I think all of us have underlying problems, you know, thoughts, anger, feelings that it's so cooped up inside that we don't even know it existed. I don't remember when I have this intense, or I start realizing this kind of intense emotion, but I remember there was one time where I feel so down, where I feel like I was so angry, right? But I have no idea why I was that way. I was feeling so down, purposeless, like I have no motivation at all. And I actually figured out why. Middle school was actually a tough time for me. And I think a lot of people have tough times in middle school as well. But I just never realized that middle school was such, I hated my middle school version of myself. I hated, that kid. I hated that Jason, where he was just cursing all the time, doing all the sus things in the world that you can ever imagine, right? But like, I never realized that I hated myself so much that I never forgive myself, or I never ready to move on and actually accepted that I've changed, right? I've become a better person. You know, I accepted that, hey, it's okay for me to mess up in the past. It is okay now. It's just the past, you know? And I realized that if I didn't do any of those things in the past, I would have never become the person that I am today. So it definitely have helped me a lot to go back, you know, just to go back and see the things that made me uncomfortable, or the anger and the cooped up feelings that I had before, or the underlying problems that I had before. You know, people say that the year 2020, this year, is probably one of the worst year in human history. But I genuinely do not believe that, just mainly because problems like racial injustice and discrimination and natural disasters, they've been around for years. They've been around for decades. It's because of quarantine, like the special situation that we are in of quarantine, have made people realize the underlying problems that we have in the world today. Before, we were too busy to pay attention to these underlying problems. You know, everybody got school, work, family to take care of. But now, since everybody's staying at home, they're not doing anything but like looking up on your phone. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, but I've heard a lot of people have said that, hey, I got things to do. I don't have time to worry about my depression or my state. You know, I'm just gonna go do my stuff and never deal with it. You know, it might actually work, just by simply ignoring it. But a lot of the time, you're actually just avoiding your problem and never deal with it head on. You know, the problem might seem small right now, but if you let it become much bigger, if you let it snowball, right? Just think about the snowball effect. You have a snowball on top of a mountain, and then you roll it down, right? At the beginning of maybe the first 10 seconds, it's not so big, but after maybe a minute, 20 minutes, an hour, that thing is gonna become huge if it keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And that's what happens when you don't deal with your own problems that cause the state of depression by yourself. So if you really wanna help yourself, do yourself a favor and deal with it now. Now, hey, I know, I get it. It's scary. You know, the state of depression isn't something to be taken lightly of. Even though, you might not have clinical depression, but you're definitely going to feel worse than you have before. Now, this state I've seen people said that it sucks the fun out of life for them. But when you find out why you're depressed or why you're in this numb state of life or purposeless state in your life, you have to understand this. You have so much potential. When people tell you that you don't, right? You just have to remember that you have so much potential. You were chosen out of 400 trillion other possibilities to become a human, to live on this planet Earth. The chances that your grandparents or your ancestors met, the chances that your parents met, the chances that you come out alive, and the chances that you were born and are still alive into this very moment is crazy. Okay, if you don't believe me, look it up. Actually, look it up. I'll wait. All right, so it's really all about the ways that you look at the world, guys. You can either look at the world like it's going to attack you, or you can look at the world like it's going to support you. You are not purposeless. I'm telling you, you haven't just figured it out yet. All right, but that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys found something useful out of it. And until the next episode, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and I will see you later. Peace.